Good morning, Chicago. Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast. Coming at you here from the United Kingdom, guys, from the wrong side of the pond. We are here broadcasting to you, bringing you all the latest in the build up to the NFL draft, guys, which is so close now. You can almost touch it and you can almost smell it, guys. It is virtually here. Look, I think there's so many column inches been given over to, who will the Bears take with that 10th pick? When we find out, are we going to be elated? Are we going to be disappointed? Or are we going to have absolute faith that Ryan Poles will get this right? We are just 9 days away from day one of this draft, guys. Personally, cannot wait to find out who the Bears take with a 10th overall pick. And if they do pick at 10, you never know. It could be a situation where they look at moving back to get some more value, to add some more picks, and then obviously to work from that. Maybe take someone like an Amari Hampton later on in the draft in the first round, but add a couple of picks on. Maybe that is the way the Bears will go. Right, look, we're gonna look at the top 30 visits that we know so far. Now, obviously, last year we only found out about 24 to 25 of those visits, not the full 30. And if the full 30 did actually take place. We know today, for example, that Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa, we'll talk about him shortly, and Shemar Stewart, someone whose name I always get wrong, defensive end out of Texas A&M, will also visit, and apparently as well, Kelly Akihari apparently is also down to visit today, to be a very late round pick, if at all. Interesting one, that one. As we know, they always take a mix of guys in these visits, but this is what we know so far. Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. We know Josh Connolly. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty, just going back to him for a minute, he is the generational talent. He is the guy you would want at 10 if you are going to take a running back in the first round. He is an absolute generational talent, someone who is an absolute game changer. If you look at what he achieved at Boise State, where he was the only offensive weapon they had, he was quite remarkable. He really genuinely was. Josh Connolly, offensive tackle out of Oregon. He's more a second round guy, someone that the Bears may look at in the second round to come on and supplement that offensive line. Shemar Stewart, we'll talk about him a little bit shortly. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. Dylan Fairchild, guard out of Georgia. Anthony Belton, offensive tackle out of NC State. Fairchild, Belton, later round picks, guys. Maybe the Bears are looking to supplement the offensive line in the later rounds, with the priority going to the defensive line edge, running back, maybe in those earlier rounds. Brashard Smith out of SMU, running back. Dante Fleming, wide receiver out of Tulane. Nick Martin, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. Quick, fast, aggressive guy. Very much fits the Dennis Allen type system. Guys, can't wait to see that Dennis Allen defense take the field. Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Again, later round guy. Carl Williams, again, looking at a third, fourth round guy in Carl Williams. I think that was where I last saw him slated. Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. This is a guy who you could pick up in a later round. Defensive lineman, a very good defensive lineman, a good depth piece, someone to grow. Not a plug-and-play starter by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly someone who has good production out of Tennessee, someone who could have an impact long-term for the Bears. Jonah Savianea, guard out of Arizona. Jalen Lane, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. Jalen Conyers, tight end out of Texas Tech. This is a guy who you'd probably get in the very late rounds, 6th, 7th round guy. He's certainly not up there with the likes of Tyler Warren, of Harold Fannin Jr., Colston Loveland, Gunnar Helm, people like that, but he would certainly be a late round guy. Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa, top talent, mid-second round guy. We'll talk about him shortly. And of course, the guy that was there yesterday, Amari Hampton. Some people have mocked Hampton at 10 to the Bears in recent mock drafts. I personally would not be looking at taking Hampton at 10. I think that's way too early for him. I think he's a late first round, early second round kind of guy. I mean, the hope, I suppose, has to be that if the Bears do stick at 10, take someone like one of the edge rushers or Armand Membu, offensive tackle, that maybe that Hampton will fall and be there at 37. I mean, running backs do fall in drafts. You look at the positions that fall, as we discussed on the video last night. The safeties are often what guys who fall. Running backs fall. These are not massively popular positions at this moment in time. Amari Hampton is probably the second best running back in the draft after Ashton Jeanty. Trayvon Henderson, I suppose you could make an argument for him. But Amari Hampton is a very good talent. Now, I said today, obviously, another one is Kelly Akihari. I think his name is pronounced. He is another guy slated to visit today. But let's have a little look, let's have a little focus, shall we, on this guy here. This is Caleb Johnson. He is out of Iowa. He is a guy who, really has a lot of upside for the Bears. He's someone who, really could be a very good pick in that second round. If the Bears were to say, go for someone, like a defensive tackle or an edge, or you had someone like Membu in that first round, this could be the guy who you would turn to if you are so set on getting a running back. And it does seem that there's a lot of gossip and a lot of word coming out of the Bears organization that Ben Johnson does want a running back, someone to replace DeAndre Swift. In terms of what we know about Caleb Johnson, he is a workhorse back. He is runs a 4.57 40. He's 6'1", 224 pounds. He's a big guy, he's a physical guy, but quick at the same point in time. Has a rushing rating of 86% with draft busts, 91% breaking tackles, 65% reading, receiving. Not really his strength receiving, that'd be something that he would need to work on and develop long term. Pass blocking 44%, run blocking 60%. So again, pass blocking grade would be something he needs to work on. He's projected as a mid-second round type of guy. Who would you compare him with? Well, Isaiah Spiller, Zachandre White, Zach Charbonnet are all guys you could compare Caleb Johnson to. What's his strengths, guys? I mean, that's what we want to know, isn't it? Masterful tempo control behind the line, presses holes, has patience as well. Doesn't just rush and go straight into the line, looks for that gap, goes through it. Devastating plant and go ability for a back his size, obviously 6'1". Natural forward lean, low pad level, allow him to consistently fall forward, gets 2-3 yard gains whenever he's hit and tackled. Exceptional vision to set up blocks, manipulate second level defenders with subtle hesitations before exploding through running lanes. Runs with controlled violence and aggression. I think something that would certainly fit the Bears organisation at this moment in time. Reliable hands in the screen game. Demonstrated with a 72-yard catch and run against Nebraska. So he has got those pass catching skills. It's perhaps that just Iowa didn't use him for that enough. He is a battle-tested workhorse who gets stronger as games progressed. One really fascinating fact is that in the fourth quarter of games, he averaged 5.8 yards per carry. I think he went for 1,579 yards, 21 TDs in his final year at Iowa. I think, in terms of his weaknesses, his top-end speed is good, not great. But, as I heard an argument the other day, I was listening to Locked On Bears, and, how often do running backs get a chance to really hit that top lick speed unless there's a big, massive gap for them to go through and then they've got the ability to hit the home run ball? A lot of time it is just exploding through that gap and getting those extra few yards. Pass protection technique needs refinement. He has a limited creativity once the initial running lane is blocked. Route tree consists primarily of swings and checkdowns, needs development of his route running ability. But that's something certainly, with Ben Johnson, with Press Taylor, that is something we can certainly work on and develop. He is a good prospect, I believe, at the running back position. He will visit Hallas Hall today. The other guy, obviously, and there's been one or two concerns about this guy, I believe, when it was mooted that he was going to be a visit for the Bears to Hallas Hall. People talking about him even going at 10. He has risen, up that edge rusher board. I mean, obviously, you're looking at Abdul Carter is your number one at that position. There is nobody better than him in that edge rusher position. But he will be gone first or second in this draft. Probably second, or could be even third. I mean, it depends what the Cleveland Browns do. Many people say they may take take Travis Hunter. I mean, they could even take Shedeur Sanders if they want a quarterback. I mean, let's face it, that Sean Watson is an absolute car crash of a player. So it could be that Carter falls to the Giants at 3. James Pierce Jr., obviously, again, he's very highly rated. He's the second highest edge rusher. I would love to see the Bears look at James Pierce Jr. He's fast, he's aggressive, he's quick. Certainly someone who would fit into the Dennis Allen scheme. Shemar Stewart has risen up to 3rd on the edge rusher draft board. He is a big guy. He is a big guy. He's 6'6". 290 pounds, so a big, massive physical guy. He ran a 4.59 40, so quite quick as well with that size. He's a junior. He is a player who is very versatile on the D line. He can even be shifted inside as well. he's got all the attributes. He is athletically perfect, athletically absolutely perfect to be an edge rusher, to be a top level edge rusher. I mean, he's in terms of his arm length, it's 34 and 1/8 inches, hands 9 and 5/8 inches. Span is 83 and 4/8. He ran a 1.58 10 yard. He jumped a 40-inch vertical, 137 broad. He's athletically absolutely elite in terms of his athleticism and his speed. He's freakish when it comes to the whole athletic side of the game. He's got great bend, great flexibility, and he can pull off angles and shapes that seem to defy physics as well. He can convert speed to power. He's got great lateral agility. He can wreak absolute havoc. He can be very violent and quick and in your face. Again, very much a Dennis Allen type player. However, the big concern over Shemar Stewart is that athletic profile, that elite athletic profile, just does not match his production. His production has not been good at all. I mean, this is his last year at Texas A&M. 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 31 tackles, 14 solo tackles. Like I said, the production just is not there from Shemar Stewart. I mean, if you go back across his 3 years, at Texas A&M, with Texas A&M, 2023, 11 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, 2 sacks, no passes defensed. In 2022, 23 total tackles, 11 solo, 2 sacks. He's ceilinged out at 2 sacks. So 5.5 sacks across his 3 seasons at Texas A&M. And look, I think this guy has the potential, the real potential, to be an absolute elite level player. He has the quality to be an elite level player, but the concern has to be over that production. The fact that he has not pulled it off in college. You then start to question, well, if he can't do it in college, can he do it at the higher level? The NFL is that higher level. It's quicker, it's more aggressive, it's faster, it's more in your face. You're coming up against better offensive linemen than you came up against in college. You're coming up against the elite, especially in the NFC North. You're coming up against some very fine teams in the, with the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions. So, can he translate that? And I think, for me, Shemar Stewart has a real concern over his production. There's a massive concern there over his production, and a real worry over that production. That would kind of put me off taking him at 10. It really would. It's a risk. You could end up with a guy who you draft and he suddenly comes off and he is an absolute power player. He's an absolute quality player, and he really does deliver, and he becomes one of the top edge rushers in the NFL. But by the same token, given that production, you could really have a situation where you pull him in, you draft him at 10, and he becomes an absolute bust. Like I said, the athletic profile is there. It's just the production that is the main concern for me. The other guy, obviously, that we've heard that will visit today out of Mississippi State is Kelly Akihari. I can't say the guy's name. It's a very difficult name to say. He's a Mississippi State Bulldog. He had, in his final season with Mississippi State, he had 25 receptions, 391 yards, 2 TDs, averaged 15.6 yards per catch. 2023, he had 48 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 7 TDs. Obviously a better injury affected 2024. This would be very much a late round guy if the Bears are looking to take a wide receiver at all. Wide receiver perhaps, and special teams supplement too. But some exciting names added onto that visit, and it does look, if you kind of look through that top 30 visits, and you kind of try and surmise from that where the Bears are looking in this 2025 NFL draft. You're probably looking saying wide receiver. The wide receivers they're looking at are late round guys. They're not early round guys. It's not your it's certainly not those guys that you would look at in the top rounds like McMillan, the Genties. Again, it's a later round guy. The people they're looking at for the higher rounds there, for the first and second rounds, you're looking at, the likes of the running backs there with Hampton, Johnson, Genty, for example. The defensive linemen, again, you're looking at some top defensive linemen there. You're looking at Shemar Stewart, you're looking at Omar Norman Lott, you're looking at players of that caliber. You're looking, obviously, at the offensive linemen too, they're second round guys, but I suppose, you look at that as well. Mason Graham obviously has already been spoken to as well at the Combine. He's another one who is very much on the draft board, but will be very tough, I think, to get past 5. I think if you're going to go and get Mason Graham, who is a top level talent, a real quality player, you're going to have to go and trade up to get him. But that's what we've seen so far. That's the top 30 visits that we are aware of. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. What would you do? Trade up? Go and try and get Mason Graham or Ashton Genty. Trade down, go and get someone like an Amari and Hampton, or maybe a Derek Harmon or a Walter Nolan later on in the first round, and try and stack a couple of picks to add some extra players. Or would you stand pat at 10 and just take whatever comes your way? Tyler Warren obviously seems to be a rising name at 10, especially with the comments made by Dennis Allen the other day. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching the Bears Huddle podcast, guys. I hope you have a great day, or a great rest of your day, or a great evening. Depends when you're picking up this video, obviously. Thanks for watching the Bears Huddle podcast. Guys, let's bear down as we go through our day.